Hey Smellies, Qmulus here, and oh man, I feel chills all across my back from all these scary images on my mind. I'd be lying if I didn't say that some of these creepy images have had an effect on me. I'd stumble upon one of these baddies during the day and proceed to not use the bathroom at night because I think Jeff the Killer would be in there waiting for me, and so instead I'd just have to tinkle in my pantaloons. Just kidding. I had the strength to hold it in. If any of you watching actually peed yourself because of a scary JPEG file you found on the internet, go ahead and click off this video and don't come back. Cause I don't need pusillanimous individuals watching my content. When it comes to the particular creepy images I'll be discussing here, I started using the internet in the mid-2010s, so that's where a lot of these will come from. Every day, I'm given a reminder of how old I've become. Because of time's terrifying, unstoppable strength to march forward, I'll have to start with one that the youngsters will recognize. Let's start with this pretty face here. You might recognize this one as Celine Delgado, or you might recognize it from the Mandela catalog. However, in reality, this is a police sketch of the serial killer Derek Todd Lee. Honestly, after looking at the mugshot of the real monster here, this image feels a bit humorous, cause it's a really bad police sketch. I will say though, out of all the images I cover in this video, this is the only one that still unnerves me no matter how many times I see it. The low quality of the image, the overly detailed and, dare I say, hyper-realistic eyes give it a very uncanny appearance. Also, the way those bloodshot eyes go in slightly different directions make it look very inhuman, like some mimic creature is trying to come across as human and is having a very difficult time doing so. It ends up looking more terrifying than the actual killer does, which is very weird to say. Also, I've noticed that police sketches just tend to be very unsettling, although I've heard it's done intentionally so it sticks around in people's minds more, which is honestly a pretty effective tactic. Here's an extra one that I'm adding in because I only recently heard about it. This is a police sketch of a man that broke into houses and watched people sleep. Enough said. Alright, here's one that all of you will recognize no matter how old you are. The icon of creepypasta himself, Jeff the Killer. Now, I find this one particularly interesting for two reasons. One being that this image is surprisingly creepy, despite being made for such a mid-tier story. The image, on the other hand, is just oddly uncomfortable to look at. The small, piercing eyes, the oddly realistic smile, it's a very uncanny image. The other reason is that nobody has found the origin of this image yet. This is clearly a photoshopped image of something or someone, but nobody knows what it came from. For a while it was believed to be a Photoshop made to bully a girl named Katie Robinson on 4chan, however that's recently been debunked. The hunt to find the original video was popularized by one of my favorite YouTubers, Goose Boose, in one of the episodes of his mini mystery series. A year ago, this image was posted to a subreddit claiming to be the origin of the photo, which got around 100 upvotes, but it was debunked later on. Here's some more photos that were once believed to be the original but were later debunked. If you want to join the search for the OG image, there's a subreddit dedicated to it called r/originalJTKimage. And also, subscribe to Goose Boose. His channel is very underrated for the quality of content it puts out. Another surprisingly unsettling image attached to a bad creepypasta is Dead Bart. Now, this one's a bit confusing because there's two images associated with this creepypasta. This right here is the image most often associated with the creepypasta, being from an actual Simpsons episode. And in all honesty, I'm surprised that this is from an actual episode, because it's kinda disturbing for what is a family-friendly but mildly adult-oriented series. But that image doesn't matter here, because the one I'm talking about is made specifically for the creepypasta. In the creepypasta, Bart breaks the window of a plane and falls out, killing him, which is why the creepypasta is named Dead Bart. Then the episode shows his dead body on the ground. The image I'm talking about is a recreation of what was just described. It's a pretty brutal sight that's honestly a little hard to look at to this day. His mouth just hangs open while his dead eyes stare blankly into the distance. His clothes are torn and his face is shadowy and bloody. Looks more like he burned to death rather than falling from a very high distance. This is unrelated to the image, but just for a moment I want to talk about the ending to this creepypasta because I find it, like, very good, surprisingly. As I said before, this creepypasta is like pretty bad overall and reuses a lot of lost episode creepypasta tropes. However, this creepypasta's ending is surprisingly high quality and definitely one of the most interesting I've ever read. The view zoomed out as the episode came to a close. The tombstones in the background had the names of every Simpsons guest star on them. Some that no one had heard of in 1989, some that haven't even been on the show yet. All of them had death dates on them. For guests who died since, like Michael Jackson and George Harrison, the dates were when they would die. A thought occurred to me after seeing the episode for the first time. You could try to use the tombstones to predict the death of living Simpsons guest stars, but there's something odd about the ones who haven't died yet. All of their deaths are listed as the same date. I like how it utilizes the Simpsons prediction phenomenon by perfectly predicting the deaths of all the guest stars. That final line is what truly makes this ending stick in my head though. It's so intriguing, like what could have happened on that day that caused all those people to die at the same time? Like, did they predict the rapture or something? And I like how it doesn't explain anything either, it just leaves you with those questions. This next image is a little bit different from the previous two because the creepypasta surrounding it is the image. The creepypasta is called Smile Dog, but it could also be considered a chainmail. For all of you youngins watching this video, a chainmail was just a message or an email that existed for the sole purpose of spreading to other people, usually along the lines of, "Send this to 10 people for good luck," or
"Send this to 3 people or else a demon will send you to hell."
For this chainmail, if you saw the image contained with this chainmail titled smile.jpg, you were cursed and would receive terrifying visions and nightmares until eventually smile.jpg took a physical form and either killed you or dragged you to hell. However, the catch is that you could get rid of the curse completely by spreading the word. Simply sending the image to someone else would rid you of the curse completely and would instead transfer it to the person you sent it to. I've always wondered what would happen if you just took one for the team and didn't send it to anyone. Would the curse disappear? Would the smile dog hop on your computer itself and send it to someone to keep the curse going? Enough talk, I'm just gonna show the image. It's obviously a fake story, but if you're scared about cursed images, look away in 3, 2, 1. And here's another creepy interpretation I found while looking for the original. Alright, it's gone now. I'll definitely say it's a creepy image. That husky should not have a smile that big and that bloody. Also, people recently found the original image that became smile.jpg. Crazy. So, I'm not sure whether to classify this one as a creepypasta or an urban legend. While it fits the criteria for a creepypasta and is widely regarded as one, I think it existed for a while beforehand as an urban legend. There's this Japanese poem called Tomino's Hell, and according to an urban legend, if you read it in full, out loud, in Japanese, you'll be dragged to hell. It reminds me of the YouTuber Lupus Creepus, because he challenged it in his series, Will It Kill Me?, by reading it in both English and very bad Japanese.
Hoku ni Ochiwuku Tomino.
Clearly it didn't... Uh-oh. Now, before I get on to the image, I want to quickly warn you that the image can be especially disturbing to some, and I will be briefly mentioning some sensitive topics, so if you want to avoid that, then skip to the next chapter or the timestamp on screen. Here's the image that's often paired with the creepypasta. Despite that, it has nothing to do with the creepypasta at all, and whoever wrote it probably just decided to Google creepy Japanese art and attached it to the creepypasta. This is actually a painting by the artist Yuko Tatsushima titled I Can't Be a Bride Anymore. It depicts a bloody, tall, long-necked woman with a face that looks like it's been torn open, eyes with very dilated pupils, and a dark, broken smile scratched across her face. According to Reddit, the painting's a metaphor for sexual assault in Japan, which is a huge issue within the country. When I first saw this painting, it deeply disturbed me, but over time, I've come to appreciate the sheer amount of detail that went into this artwork, along with all the elements to make it look as unsettling and agonizing as possible. After looking at some more of her works, she started to remind me more and more of Francis Bacon, especially his study after Velasquez portrait of Pope Innocent X. If you want to look at her portfolio, I'll link her website in the description. I highly suggest checking it out. After that insightful look into a truly astounding artist, let's look at something real crappy to cleanse our minds of any good art that makes us think. Thinking's not very socially acceptable these days after all. Ever heard of Red Mist or Squidward's? It was one of the first and arguably the most influential lost episode creepypasta, a type of creepypasta centered around a lost episode or unused content from a piece of media. This creepypasta even popularized many tropes such as the hyper-realistic eyes. I never paid any attention to the actual creepypasta as a kid. All that stood out to me was this image. It's a pretty creepy image when viewed by a little guy who's only familiar with Squidward when he doesn't have black and red eyes, but it's nothing too crazy. I never really understood this image in the context of the creepypasta. If the episode's about Squidward's why would they suddenly include this like 10-minute shot of Squidward staring at the viewer? While writing this part of the script, I decided to take some time to watch Vibing Leaf's Red Mist retake, and I definitely think it improves upon the creepypasta a ton. It isn't anything amazing, but you can't turn Dookie into diamonds. I do think it tries too hard to be creepy at times, but its scares are much better than whatever existed before it. I especially love the extra scene they added at the end, including a conversation between SpongeBob and Patrick after the events of the episode. It adds a lot more substance to what was clearly originally just an edgy, ooh, this character's gonna kill himself. I'll include a link to it in the description for you to watch yourself, though keep in mind it does contain graphic depictions of Zeus. This one isn't even meant to be scary, but I can definitely say it affected me harder than any other image on here. So I was like 9 years old and I was watching Creepy Gaming by Mullen Mike on YouTube. If you know who that is, you're a real one. I decided to watch his Game Boy camera video, and let me tell you, I was not prepared for what it had contained.
Well, there's a run option. When you click on it, this is what you get.
It's safe to say that 9-year-old me may have spontaneously tinkled that night. I lost hours of sleep thinking about that face. I'd close my eyes, but all I'd see projected on my eyelids was the contorted, doodle-on face of some Nintendo employee. I don't even know why I found it so scary. Perhaps it's the sound effect? It's just so needlessly ominous. It felt like I had encountered something that mankind was not supposed to see yet, and that I had upset the natural order as a result. Now that I think of it, this was my first ever screamer. Even to this day, when I see the title screen for the Game Boy camera with the little dancing Mario, I still feel a slight tinge of fear. In the Five Nights at Freddy's series, every game from the Click Team era, or the games made by Scott Cawthon, or just the first 6 games, would have a series of secret images you'd have a chance of encountering every time you return to the main menu screen, be it through booting up the game or getting a game over. Personally, I still find all the secret images really unsettling, not because of the images themselves, but more from how they have a chance of just simply appearing on the screen suddenly, either with a loud noise playing in the back, or in total silence. Out of all these secret screens, the ones I want to talk about are the ones from Five Nights at Freddy's 3. When I was finally getting over my fear of FNAF and actually getting more interested in the series, this bit of lore called Springtrap punched me in the gut and put me back in my place, Cause what the actual hell? I have a feeling nobody was ready to see the rotting corpse still inside of an animatronic. What I find interesting is that a lot of the reasons why I was scared of these images are invalidated by today's lore. These days, William Afton, the man stuck inside of the animatronic, is portrayed as a madman who felt empowered by being trapped and becoming Springtrap. These images do not reflect that at all. Here, he looks like he's in agonizing pain and is mustering all of his strength to escape the Springtrap, but he cannot. All he can do is lift the head of his mask and reveal whatever is left of his face for all to see. Even now, when I look at these images, I feel claustrophobic. Imagine how hot and musty it is in there, being stuck for 30 years in a sealed-off storage room. Nothing to do but reflect on your past actions and go mad from the sheer monotony of your new life. Well, actually, there is an arcade machine in there, so I don't know, maybe he's taken over the entire leaderboard. I'm gonna make this last one real brief. I hate Sonic.exe. Hate. Let me tell you how much I've come to hate Sonic.exe since I first saw it. There are 2,073,600 pixels that make up every frame of this video. If the word hate was engraved on each red, green, and blue light that make up every pixel of every frame of this video, it would not equal 1/1,000,000,000th of the hate that I feel for Sonic.exe at this micro instant. Hate. Anyways, this image scared me when I was a kid. Yeah, I got over it though, but some others didn't. Somehow Sonic.exe is still widely popular to this day, especially among children. He's been reduced to nothing but a bootleg plushie on the shelves of pop-up carnival attractions, or a character known only because he appeared in a Friday Night Funkin' mod. He's now a guy from Friday Night Funkin'. Perhaps this is the fate he truly deserves. Good riddance. Now it's time to hear from you. Were there any images that scared you when you were a kid? Are there any that scare you now? Are you a scary image? Are you scared by images? If this video does well enough, maybe I'll make a second video on this, about scary videos that scared me as a kid. Yeah, you heard it here first. That's on average 24 scary images per second. Maybe I'll make one anyways if I feel like it. No promises. Anyway, subscribe if you feel like it. I worked hard on this video. I don't know if I'll make any more like this though. Only time will tell.